All right. Good day, everybody, and welcome to our January Live for the Wildlife Ambassador Program. Happy 2026 to all of our viewers. Yeah, let's get right into it. We've got some great topics for you guys today. Of course, as always, some trivia questions, a little bit about One Health Awareness Month, a bit about the workshop that Aurora and myself attended this week, hosted by the Belize Zoo and the Zoological Society of Milwaukee. And then a review for our annual report, a very interesting talk with the Belize Raptor Center about integrated pest management, and of course, some clinic and ambassador program highlights. So, what we're going to start off here with, as always for our live events, is the One Health song from Bay C.
See, icon. Yeah. Listen me. Listen me, feature. Spread that one that with the paper across the region. Listen me, feature. Listen me. Listen me News would like to introduce you to this brand new concept. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health are the brand new concept to fight virus and diseases. Calling all of the various doctors, let's work together to achieve this. Human doctor, animal doctor, the environmental doctor. Each one an important factor. The public health have a brand new chapter. A good example of chick-fil. Even if it don't hurt you, then it still a hurt me. If you check the process, you will see it move from the environment to animal, then to we. First from the egg in the water, then from the water to the mosquito, then from the mosquito it goes straight to the people. But if we work together, then it leads to One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health is not just for people with medical occupation. It is for the entire population. So we need everyone cooperation across the region. Improve food security, better solid waste management and water purity. Protect the habitat for you and me, for the animals on the land and the fish in the sea. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. Listen me. Enough respect to One Health leaders. 12 countries across the region. To a help the Caribbean, them are leaders. Let me list out the island: Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, Belize, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Barbados, Dominica, Trinidad, Tobago, Haiti, Antigua. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong. One Health, One Caribbean, One Love. Together we're strong.
All right. So that was our One Health song by Bay C. And as always, we love to start our live with that song because One Health is such a crucial part of what we do here with the Wildlife Ambassador Program. So we did forget to introduce ourselves just now. Apologies for that. But my name is Max Ram. I'm the educator here for the Wildlife Ambassador Program at BWRC.
And I'm Aurora Makna. I'm here with Max, joining him for live.
All right. So we're going to get right into it. Just to start this live, we have 2 trivia questions for you guys. If anyone knows the answers to these, they can just go right ahead and comment them right in the comment section. And we'll have a small prize for anyone that can get both questions correct. So do you want to go ahead and read those questions out for us, Aurora?
So the first question is, which Belizean wildlife has a closed hunting season starting on February 1st? The second question is, name 3 zoonotic diseases in circulation in Belize. So you can give the answers under the comment sections and we'll be following up with that.
All right, and just a note, guys, usually we do give these answers throughout our live event. Today, we're actually giving you a bit of homework. You will have to look these up to figure out the answers if you don't already know. We will not be revealing it during the live, so just to keep it interesting. So it is One Health Awareness Month, and we do have a short video to share with you guys, but first off, I'd just like to give a little overview. One Health is really a crucial part of the Wildlife Ambassador Program. This is the connection between human, animal, domestic and wild, and environmental health. And there's so many ways that it connects. There's so many ways that if the health of one of these things is put at risk, the other 2 follow suit. Some of the sectors that tie into One Health and some of the areas at risk if we see any deterioration of One Health are food safety, public health, water security, animal welfare, of course. Vector control even plays a big role, as a lot of these diseases are spread by vectors, such as mosquitoes or ticks. And of course, the conservation sector as well, in terms of keeping a clean and healthy environment so that we have clean and healthy people here in Belize, right? So yeah, let's get right into that video that we have for you guys.
The health of humans, animals, plants and ecosystems is closely interconnected. Any change in relations among them can increase the risk of new human and animal diseases developing and spreading. One Health is an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of persons, animals and ecosystems. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 60% of emerging infectious diseases notified throughout the world originate from animals. In the last 3 decades, over 30 new human pathogenic agents have been reported, 75% of which come from an animal reservoir. Many emerging and non-emerging diseases, such as Ebola, AIDS, avian influenza and COVID-19, are not random events. Rather, they result from the impact of human activity on natural ecosystems. For instance, the high density of intensive farms can amplify the circulation of avian influenza viruses. The trade of live and wild animals can raise the probability of infectious diseases affecting humans, spillover. The circulation of people and goods can aid the spread of vector-borne diseases. Ecosystems themselves are influenced by stress factors, very often related to human activities, which in turn increase the risk for human health. Examples include land use, the loss of biodiversity, the invasion of natural areas, environmental pollution, and climate change. New organizational, communication and coordination strategies are required to manage this complexity. In this respect, the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the need to build a global reference framework based on interprofessional, multidisciplinary collaboration among different sectors. A good example of a concrete One Health approach applied to the public health domain is the Italian National Prevention and Surveillance Plan for Arboviral Diseases, viruses and other pathogens transmitted by arthropod vectors such as ticks and mosquitoes. In this plan, the surveillance and control actions involving humans, animals and vectors, as well as the environment, are fully integrated and require a full collaboration between human and veterinary medicine. More generally speaking, international organizations, WHO, FAO, WOAH and UNEP, have developed a joint plan of action with the goal of strengthening global defenses against epidemics and pandemics through an integrated approach in which knowledge and skills are oriented towards a culture of transversality. It is essential to get everyone on board to respond to health threats and promote sustainable development.
All right. I hope you guys learned something from that video. I just really like that one as it gives a broad overview of the One Health approach and the different problems that it faces, as well as the different problems that it tackles. So moving right along, we did have the privilege of this week joining a Empathy for Wildlife workshop called the Empathy for Wildlife and Interpretation training. This was a really valuable training hosted by the Zoological Society of Milwaukee alongside the Belize Zoo, and it trained us on a number of topics that are actually going to be really useful for us in delivering this program to you guys. So one of those was, of course, like the name suggests, Empathy for Wildlife. We learned a lot from that, as well as how to use these tools and evaluate empathy, and how to make it so that we can raise empathy a bit through our workshops as well. We also learned a lot about the North American Association for Environmental Educators, their guidelines for excellence. We had a walkthrough of this, how to use these resources. They are available online for anyone interested. Aurora and myself were both certified in this, as well as all of the other participants of the workshop. And it was really a pleasure getting to learn this stuff, getting to meet the other environmental educators from so many different organizations here in Belize, and giving us an opportunity to all network with each other. So again, huge thank you to the Zoological Society of Milwaukee, as well as the Belize Zoo, for making this happen. And that takes us on over into our next section, which will be our annual report review. So shortly here, we're going to have this annual report available on our website. We'll definitely be making a social media post to let you guys know as soon as that is up, and I'd urge you all to take a deeper look at it, as there's a lot of really great information in there. What we'll be doing today, though, is just sharing some of these key facts and figures with you guys. So, starting off, our 2025 in review, we have our veterinary and rehabilitation program. Our total wildlife patients seen in 2025 was 656 from 69 different species. Patients that made it into the clinic and weren't treated out in the field were 211, 54 of which were birds, 82 mammals, and 75 reptiles. So it's been a very busy year for us here, with actually no breaks throughout. It was all pretty constant. In In the field, 424 patients received treatment. This was largely working with our conservation partners, both Be-Free and FCD, with their respective programs, helping out the Hickory turtle and the scarlet macaws. We did receive 13 patients dead on arrival. 3 of those were jaguars injured in road traffic accidents. So again, we urge you guys to really take your time and drive safely, especially at dawn and dusk. Look out for eye shine, and we did see an uptick in the number of road cases in 2025 for sure. So, we can all do to be a bit safer out there. We had 26 cases responded to through the 24/7 wildlife hotline. So these were cases that people called in, and we were actually able to either offer advice or have somebody intervene and mitigate these cases. Our most commonly seen species was the Hickory or Central American river turtle. And while it's critically endangered, we did see 296 of them this year. A lot of these, or I believe all of these actually, through partnership with Be-Free and their captive breeding program, in which they breed these turtles and then release them out into the wild once they get the all good from Dr. Isabel and the other people who are checking them. We have had a by far most expensive patient of the year. You guys are seeing this video, so you do follow our social media, so I'm pretty sure you're familiar by now with Georgie the howler monkey. He was our first case of New World screwworm here in Belize, in wildlife, that is. And he was saved from certain death and even from amputation. He's had over 20 surgeries, and his cost is over 13,000 Belize dollars at this point. That was actually at the end of December, so by now it's even a good bit higher than that. And he's going through a long road to recovery, but he's doing very good, we're happy to say. So we have 211 hospitalized patients this year. 44% of those, or 92 patients, were victims of human-wildlife conflict in a variety of ways. Surprisingly, and good surprise this time, we only had 1 patient who came in as a fire victim this year, although we did see quite some burning last year. And again, as I mentioned that, I do want to urge everyone to practice fire safety. We have posted some guidelines for this, as well as other organizations are doing so too. We're about to see the start of fire season here, so really be responsible, be safe, and keep an eye out for wildlife in your area when it comes to this as well. We did see an uptick in dog and cat attacks, with 43 patients coming in due to that, representing 20% of these 211 hospitalizations. We saw 7% of our patients coming in as victims of road traffic accidents, or 15 cases, and that's aside from the jaguars that I just mentioned, who were dead on arrival. We did have 23% of our patients as rescued orphans, or 49 individual patients. And we had 6%, or 13, dead on arrival. We also had 41 patients confiscated or relinquished to us because people would realize that either they're breaking a law or these animals are just unfit to be pets. So if you do have a wild animal in your keeping, we would really urge you to relinquish it, as these animals do carry a lot of risks and it's not something that you want to be practicing. We did have 18% of our patients transferred, or 39 individuals. So 7 patients went over to our partners at Belize Bird Rescue. 4 patients went up to Wild Tracks up in Corozal. 6 unreleasable patients are now housed at the Belize Zoo. We have 2 foxes there, some toucans, a couple of different animals that came through and unfortunately would not have been able to survive in the wild. So now they're ambassadors of their species right there at the best little zoo in the world. We had 1 patient transferred to the Crocodile Research Coalition, 4 patients transferred to the Belize Raptor Center, 9 patients to the Green Iguana Conservation Project, 1 patient to Las Cuevas back in the Chiquibul, and 7 patients down to Be Free for their Hickory breeding program. We did have 13 patients, dead on arrival, like I mentioned, and unfortunately 74 patients passed away despite best efforts to save them. 5% or 10 patients had to be euthanized due to the severity of their injury and have their suffering eased. So it's the unfortunate reality. Not all of these patients can make it. Some of them are just too far gone when they come in, but I think we have had some good progress this year. So for our value of charitable services, there has been quite a lot of that. I won't go into each number here. You guys can all see it there on the screen. But the total value was $127,275.26 in form of veterinary care, surgery, rescue, relocation, and field assistance. So again, guys, we are a non-profit, non-governmental organization here at BWRC. Any help, any donations are quite welcome. You can find a link to that on our website, which I'll post a link for in the comments as well. And yeah, any bit of help goes a long way. And now on to our Wildlife Ambassador Program, our 2025 in review. We were pleased to have 248 new certified ambassadors, which breaks down to 113 females, 135 males, 61 police officers, who was a pleasure training, 37 staff of conservation NGOs, such as Be Free, FCD, Yaxche. So thank you all for your interest and joining us in this program. 71 students from junior college and university, so that would be from the University of Belize, Sacred Heart Junior College, and Galen University. We had 35 tour guides as a part of their tour guide training take the program and get certified, so that was something new for us, which was quite good to pass along as well. We had 23 teachers from across 4 different schools come together at St. Edmund's in Tikal for the training. That was another great highlight for us. And then we also had 17 scouts take part, one of which is volunteering with us at this very moment, and 3 veterinarians and animal health assistants. We did, in 2025, 13 two-day workshops. More to come soon. 12 monthly live events like the one that you're watching right now. We had our Wildlife Hero Awards given to 5 ambassadors who went above and beyond. And this was given out during the 7-year anniversary conference. So it was exactly 7 years after the pilot of this project. We started our Wildlife Hero Awards, and some really deserving individuals were given that. We had a astounding 3.2 million views on Facebook, a large part of which was Georgie, I must admit. We had a poster contest in which 3 students won, and we had 26 wildlife emergencies responded to via the hotline by Aurora. So, very productive year for the ambassador program as well. We want to thank the UNIDO, or United Nations Industrial Development Fund, and Global Environment Facility Award for funding this. And yeah, getting 248 new wildlife ambassadors out there. And we're working on more funding to expand this program as we speak as well. Right. So now that's it for our annual report review. Like I mentioned, that will be on our website, and I'll be sure to share that as soon as we've made it available. Now we have one of the highlights of today's live, our talk with the Belize Raptor Center. Here we speak with Miss Sarah Mann. She gives us a great oversight of integrated pest management, looking at some alternatives to traditional rodenticides, as well as the harms that these rodenticides can do here in Belize and anywhere that they're used for that matter. So yeah, we'll be looking at the new product being imported, Evolve, which is a form of rat birth control, and I won't explain it because Sarah does a much better job here. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
All right. Good morning again, everyone, and good morning, Sarah.
Hi.
So today we'll be talking a bit about integrated pest management and this great new product that you're making available to the Belizean public, which is
Yeah.
Evolve. So for viewers just hearing about the Belize Raptor Center, how does rodent, well, could you give us a brief overview of your organization? Sorry.
That's
And
okay.
tell us how rodent management connects to wildlife conservation.
Okay, so hi everyone, good morning. The Belize Raptor Center, our main focus is education, which is the foundation for it's the most important thing for conservation, pretty much, right? So we educate the public about the importance that raptors hold within the environment as apex predators. We do also do rescue rehabilitation at our on-site clinic, but our main focus is education here. We go to schools, we see schools on site as well. So the first question you asked was, it's pretty complex, right? Rodent management and wildlife conservation, everyone thinks they're totally separate, right? Everyone always says, oh, I have rodents in my house, right? Well, the thing is, rodents aren't just in your house, right? They're in the natural environment. So anyways, they're a food source for a variety of wildlife. I mean, if you look at wildlife, your raptors, your owls, your snakes, your tyros, your grisons, foxes, jaguarundis, ocelots, their main diet is rodents, right?
Very important part of the food chain.
They are. And the thing is, in Belize, we are in such close contact to our natural environment, right? So, for example, I'm sitting here and I am in the middle of 5 acres of jungle, right? But I have a house here. If I was to see rodents in my house and I put poison, I would, kill and poison secondarily everything in this area, right? So the thing is, when you're in such close contact to the environment, how you manage your pests is directly affects the wild environment, right? So we'll get more into it, but with rodenticides, if that's your first, thought is, I've seen a rat, I need to poison it. Once you've poisoned that rat, it doesn't die right away. It takes 7 to 10 days to die. And there's reasons for that. And I'll explain that in a minute. But that rat is able then to leave the area, and go back into maybe the jungle where it comes from. And then it becomes prey for wildlife, right? The thing is, at BRC, we did get a patient in. This is a good example. We started our poison campaign because of her. This is why all of this began.
Okay.
She was a white hawk. Her name's Michelle. She came from the Eligio Panti National Park. So she lived in a national park. She came in with the most severe case of secondary poisoning to anticoagulants that the vet I was working with at the time has ever seen. Yeah, her blood just kept bleeding out when we placed the catheter. It never clotted. It just took over an hour and 48 minutes to dry. So yeah, so a lot of, bioaccumulation in her body from the poison, but she also had neurological damage permanently from the other poison that they were using around the park, which is tomcat bromethylene, which is a
Yeah,
neurotoxin.
which is
So this is
very
what
common.
sparked it. Because I'm like, if we have surrounding, areas around national parks and around, wildlife, we're going to see a lot more. I mean, we're fairly new into poison here, especially rodenticide poison in such high quantities. And so, we're about 10 years in and we're seeing it. I've seen owls come in with it. But we're going to start seeing the biomagnification in the environment over the next 10, 20 years,
Yeah,
so
it moves right up the food chain as well. It
it
does
does. I mean,
accumulate and
yeah,
whatever is needed to
yeah,
reach.
you guys work with wild cats, right?
Mhm.
So margays, ocelots, jaguarundis, and eventually, I mean, like California, their mountain lions are dying. They tested 40 mountain lions out of 39 of them had secondary, the anticoagulants in them,
Yeah,
and I
that
think
is
7 of those had died from it. So it does take a little bit longer for the top predators, for the bioaccumulation to really knock them down. But I mean, how we manage our rodents directly affects wildlife conservation. There's some of us that are working so hard to preserve wildlife, like you guys, us, for our future generations. So we need to teach people how to do it properly. And that's where IPM comes in, right?
definitely. All right, you mentioned IPM or integrated pest management. So people might hear that and it might sound kind of technical to some.
Yeah.
But really it's, I mean, simpler than these poisons, actually. So could you please give us a brief explanation of just what IPM is?
Yeah. So interior pest management, like you said, it sounds, it's like a mouthful, right? But it's surprisingly very simple. It's basically saying smart, thoughtful pest control, right?
Mhm.
So you're going to try to fix the root of the problem instead of constantly fighting, the symptoms. Okay. So you've seen some rats in your house, right? Before I go grab the chemicals, let me just take a minute and think about this. You know, why are they here? Why are the pests in my house? So that's where you get into prevention. So prevention is the first line of defense for any kind of pest, management. Prevention, right?
Yeah.
So you go, oh, okay. The rats are in. I found this hole. I think this is where they're coming. So you seal the hole, right? Seal holes. I've had people actually reach out to me since I put the billboard up and they say, look this is where the rats are. And I said, okay, first of all, your corn bags are open. They're open, they're in an outdoor environment, you're in a farming community, you're going to have rodents. So what you need to do is store that food properly. When you have an open bag, you're attracting rodents into, the wherever it is. So you need to put that food in containers. Same thing with chicken feed. Chicken feed needs to go in containers as well. And then you need to monitor it. So then you go, okay, I've done the prevention. I need to monitor now. So this is where I'm going to be looking for damage, wire damage, chewing, bags, crop damage. You're going to look for droppings of rodents. So any sign that they're still present. Once you then are like, oh, I can't seem to fix this, then you do non-chemical first. So chemicals should never be your first line of defense, right? Because you're never going to solve it. It's never going to solve. So then you go, okay, I'm going to get some snap traps. I'm going to get some live traps. I'll clean up the habitat that maybe the rodents are using. So maybe I have this like wood pile here. Maybe if I take that and I move it and I organize it away from my house, I won't attract rodents to my house. Remove clutter. Rodents love clutter anywhere they can get into. And then if none of this works, then you can move to your targeted control. And this is where we are trying to promote people instead of using the poison to start using a rodent control, which is a birth control. It's super simple, and we'll get into this a little bit more in just a minute. But you can also use stuff like biological control, which is your barn owls. So install a barn owl box. Maybe put a screech owl box up. There's different methods of attracting like natural predators, or pest control,
Yeah.
operators like owls to your house. But yeah, so it's like, and the thing is, why do we use it, right? Why do we use IPM? It protects us. By putting chemicals in the environment, we're directly affected by that as well. It protects wildlife. It works better long term, and it saves us a heck of a lot of money, right?
Sounds
Um,
like a win-win-win.
It totally is. It's just making people understand and teaching this. A lot of the pest control operators here have actually never heard of IPM.
Okay. Well,
So it's not part of the training. We're actually fixing that right now. I'm going to be teaching IPM with the pest control operators. I'll be reaching out and doing a workshop teaching IPM because a lot of them have actually just never heard of it. It's not that they don't want to use it. It's just not something that's there that was in their textbook, you know?
yeah,
So
it's a novel idea that needs some time for growth here, but
yeah.
I'm so relieved to see this actually becoming part of the national conversation as well, largely and thanks to Belize Raptor Center. So
Thanks.
great work. Um, so we briefly touched on this question already, but a lot of communities do use rat poisons, communities, farms, businesses, etc. But they don't really realize the full range of side effects. So how does using these traditional rodenticides or poisons come back to affect us?
Um, okay, so let me give you an example. Well, okay, for example, the rodent, right? So poison was never meant to actually work long term because if it worked long term, you wouldn't continuously buy it, right? So the pest control companies, or sorry, the rodenticide manufacturers wouldn't actually make money. They're in it for money. Same with every, it's a money scheme. So for example, you've seen one rat, right? You're like, so then you go and buy bait, right? You put the bait down. The bait has an attractant in it, which actually attracts rodents. So
Really?
you may have seen one. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
really strong attractant. And as we go from first generation, we into second generation, it becomes even stronger, right? And it attracts rodents from really quite far that would have never been around your home. So now you're attracting rats. Well, the thing is that, so for example, the stuff that is very common here is first generation.
Mhm.
Um, in the country I grew up in, we actually know now that it doesn't work. It doesn't work long term. Yeah, sure, you might find a couple dead ones or they might disappear a little bit. But what happens is, some of them will eat sublethal dosage, right? And they'll get sick. And then they'll be like, ooh, I'm not going back to that area. I'm not going to go back to that stuff. And what happens is if you've left like 2, 4 breeders, those rats won't go back to the bait stations because they're bait shy. And then you have what's called a rebound effect. So 2 rats in 1 year produces 15,000. In 3 years, you're at 300,000. So if they become bait shy, the poison won't work anymore, right? And then what if one of those rats at 7 to 10 days, that's how long it takes for them to get sick. 7 days.
Mhm.
So the companies manufactured it like that so the rodent would keep coming back and eat lethal dosage.
I
But then
see.
it starts to get really sick and slow. And then guess what? Something can catch them. And sometimes that something is your pet dog, your cat,
Mhm.
maybe a pig if you're in a farm. We've seen pigs that have gotten sick from eating it. It's a variety of things. I've seen my chicken swallow whole rats. So it's not just necessarily the wildlife, right? That we care about. And we care about all animals, but it also affects your household animals as well. So anyways, and then also the poison we have here is they become resistant to it. So those ones that eat sublethal dosage, they become resistant, just like antibiotics, right? You eat a
Yeah.
little bit, you don't take your meds, and you become resistant the next time you eat it, you know?
Yeah.
It's the
Makes
same
sense.
thing. And then you also have a rebound. Um, yeah, and so that's why, I try to talk to people. If we can actually as a biologist, you think of how do I control a population, right? It's fertility. If you hit the fertility of an animal, then it won't reproduce. And then you keep it flatlined instead of like this rebound effect from poisons.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I hope that answered
Very interesting. That's a lot of
it.
food for thought, definitely.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I actually spoke to a lovely Mennonite guy the other day. I was in Reimers and I was, talking with the staff about how to approach people with Evolve. And he was listening and he says, I have a really bad problem. I have chickens, I have a farm. I put down ramic poison and I lost, I stopped seeing them. He's like,
Mhm.
now, a few months later, I have more rodents than I've ever seen. He said, they're everywhere. He said, they're in my feed, they're in this. He goes, so I came to buy more poison. And I said, but it's not going to work. Sir, it's not going to
Mhm.
work. You have some resistant rats and now they're rebounding. Sure, you might knock down a few,
Yeah.
but you're never going to get all the rats from poison. That's why you have to keep buying it. you
Yeah.
know. So I changed, he took some of the like the sample packages we give, he took some home, he said he's going to use it and report it back to Reimers and see how it works because it lowers the population by 70% in 2 months.
Wow.
That is crazy.
That is very good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So just to touch into a little bit more into this product, we know it's called Evolve, but could you tell us a little bit more about what it is and why it's a step in the right direction? And also some important stuff that we need to keep in mind when using this.
Yeah. So this is the packaging. So these are how it looks inside. They're little sausages. Each sausage weighs 45 grams roughly, right?
Okay.
So it's really funny. The company that made this, they were actually studying menopause in women and how to accelerate it using cottonseed oil. So in
Okay.
order to do studies on humans, they had to do it on rodents first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that the rodents, during menopause, they always test if, they can get pregnant, and whatever. So then they they realized that the female wasn't getting pregnant. So they tested the male and the sperm was immobile.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So then they were like, oh, okay, this works. Okay. So it works on both male and female. So then what they did is they took it and they formulated it to work on rodents. So it only works on rodentia and their metabolism. And it's really interesting. In this 45-gram sausage, the rodent only has to eat 3 grams, which is 1 bite per week, in order to have immobile sperm or not be able to fertilize the egg. So
All
they don't
right.
have to, yeah, they don't have to eat an entire sausage. They have to come nibble on it. And the thing is, why it works too is it's palatable, they like it, and they don't get sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are basically, I know people are like, I don't want to feed friends, but I always say it, I'm like, they think that you're just feeding them. And what you're doing is you are lowering the population. Like I said, two
Yes.
rats in 1 year is 15,000, right? So every month or so, they can have 22, roughly 12 to 22 babies. Their gestation cycle is really short. So it's
Yes.
like, then, reproducing at 2 months old, a baby can start to breed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the first month, you're not going to see a huge decline, because sometimes you're going to have a pregnant female eat it and she's still going to have her litter. But as long as you're hitting the male cannot impregnate any of the females. So you
Yeah.
actually, over time, so at 2 months, you've declined the population by approximately 70%, and then you flatline. And then all of a sudden, you only see old breeders. And then the thing is, rats never live their whole life. Everything eats
Mm-hmm.
rats. You have a house cat, it's gonna eat a rat, And so people are like, well, I don't want them to live. They're vile creatures. They're still part of the food chain. And the
Yeah.
thing is, too, is what they've actually realized is rodents that are sick. So say you're feeding poison to the rodent around your home, that rodent is more likely to carry diseases that we can get. And I know we're going to talk about that in One Health, but it's important to note when they're eating this product, they're not sick. They're just not reproducing. And eventually they're going to die soon because something is going to eat them. And the thing is, it's safe too. So if your cat gets into it, your dog gets into it, your chickens, your pigs, your children, right? We have cases in this country where a child has picked up poison and has put it in her mouth and she has
Mm-hmm.
died. It is very important to note that a lot of times people do not put rat bait around their homes properly anyway, and children do pick it up. Chickens pick it up.
Yeah.
So it's very commonly picked up by um, unintended target species. So this is completely safe. It's 100% organic. The main ingredient is cottonseed oil.
Okay.
Cottonseed oil, there's oat flour, palm oil, soybean oil, cottonseed meal, and citric acid. So it's completely safe.
Getting rid of
Um,
so many of the negative consequences of traditional rodenticides.
it
It's
completely
awesome.
it has none of that.
Yeah.
No secondary poisoning. A rat eats this and then the owl picks up that rat. That's the thing, right? That owl that ate that rat is going to continue living and eat 1,800 rats in that year. Like I have my little stuffed toy because I love it. So
Mm-hmm.
you poison a rat, good job. But then if she comes along and eats that rat, she dies. And she would have eaten 1,800 rats that year. So you've just actually added rats to your area because you've killed a natural
Definitely.
predator. So
Yeah.
people, they don't see that because they just, so it's really hard to explain how important it is, to keep our natural predators alive.
All right, great. Thank you for that overview. And That is a wonderful product to be getting into the Belizean market for sure.
It is. And the thing is, so we actually we don't sell at the Raptor Center. I'm actually trying to get it into, I do sample packages. So I raise funds to go, for example, I'll be down south with Toledo soon with the Department of Agriculture. I'll be talking to farmers, giving product away. So we raise funds so we can give samples. And the thing is, once people
Mhm.
start seeing how it's working, then places like Reimers, Huron and Sons, Brody's, all of them want to carry the product because they see how it works and how long term this is a solution
Okay,
without affecting wildlife. So it's going to
definitely.
be in some really cool stores soon.
Great. So we already mentioned eliminating attractants. I mean, there is a reason that
Yeah.
the rats come to our homes. But just to tie in the One Health approach a bit, we mentioned that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, rat problems do start with attractants like easy shelter, easy sources of food, like you say, improper corn storage or chicken feed or even garbage.
Yeah.
And then these rat populations being around our homes lead to snakes, owls, and many other animals coming in that a lot of us don't necessarily want to share our homes.
Yeah.
So, what changes would you advise here to, make the biggest difference in that, aside from, of course, using Evolve?
So to keep those, okay. So it's pretty much the same thing, right? So when we start seeing predators, snakes, that kind of stuff around our home, the ecosystem is just responding to the conditions we have created, right?
Mhm.
So if we have a bunch, so say under my clinic, I got a bunch of kennels and trash and everything, I'm going to attract rodents. From the
Yeah.
jungle, I'm going to get boas. I'm probably going to get the black-tailed indigo come. I'm going to get,
Mhm.
probably, the mottled owls around, so a lot of people don't like that. Well, the thing is, the simplest solution is to make sure there's not habitat for rodents to survive in. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I can say about that. Because the thing is, we want those natural predators around, but a lot of people don't want snakes around because they don't like snakes. I know. It's a really hard time, but you have to break the chain from the beginning, is pretty much how you do it. And that's when you go right back into integrated pest management, you know,
All right.
hit it at the target before the cascade of other predators are around.
Yes.
Um, the
And
thing is,
avoid
too,
rodenticides so that you're not poisoning all of these predators when they do come.
for example, yeah, really, real quick, barn owls. A lot of people, there's a lot of superstition about barn owls. I understand that.
Mhm.
It's passed down folklore from generation to generation. I teach the children when an owl flies under the moon, it means a rat is dying soon, right? So then the children can learn this
Right.
guy is eating this, and that's why they're around our homes because we provide a buffet for these little guys. And then these
Hmm.
guys are actually coming to keep us healthy by cleaning up the rodents, right?
Yes.
And I've actually had a lot of really good positive outcome from that, presentation where I've had families call me and say, "Hey, look, I have owls in my roof." And instead of me going, "Hey, I'm a rehab, I'll take them right away." What I do
Mhm.
is I say, "Hey, look, you have some amazing natural pest control. If you have 5 babies and 2 parents, you have a lot of rodents in that area. And what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're eating 8,000 rats that year." And they're like, "What?" And they've actually, a lot of families have let me put habitat boxes up. And what I do is I install it and then I move the babies into it, and then the parents just move over. And then the
Very
family
cool.
keeps their natural pest control. And that's the way it should be done,
Hmm.
because they provide such an ecological service for us, and they protect us. And in the One Health, that's where we come into the rodents carrying diseases. And that's a lot of people's fear in this country is rodents carry diseases. Yes, yes, I won't lie.
Hmm.
They can carry diseases. But over time, and in the States, there's a lot of research going on right now, and I'll share the documents with you. They're actually finding that rodents that are around your home eating sublethal dosages of
Hmm.
poison are actually their immune systems drop, which makes sense, right? They're being poisoned. So then they are susceptible to picking up viruses like Hanta, leptospirosis,
Like we might have some technical
or
difficulties.
you've put food in containers, these guys will stay. And then the
Hmm.
thing is, then they're more likely to carry diseases that are to be passed to you guys too. So I know, it's very complex.
Yes, of course, as many of these issues tend to be, it is not
It
just one
is.
fact. at all.
It's not. It's not. And I think a problem is too is trying to, we're so new into it. It's really hard to, we don't have the data in country yet. So a lot of people are like, show me the data. And I was like, well, I can show you 30 years worth of rodenticide poisoning in the US, the UK, other
Mm.
countries that are going, oh no, what are we doing? Australia is just banning second generation anticoagulants because the damage there, and they're taking Evolve to Australia. New Zealand's changing, Malaysia. There's so many countries that are seeing this damage firsthand. Um, so I think that because Belize loves their wildlife, they love the fact that this is such a diverse place of biodiversity, and the fact that tourism comes here for wildlife. I really think
Mm.
that we'll move in the right direction faster than most countries. I have a lot of hope for
I,
that.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just in the interest of keeping it within time, as much as
I
I would
know.
love to know more about all of this, and I do really want to read that research that you mentioned as
Absolutely.
well. If you can leave our audience with just one message or one simple action step to support local wildlife around us, what would that be?
And this is in regards
Oh, I'm sorry, you
to,
froze there for a moment, but yes,
oh,
in regards to yeah, integrated
so
pest management.
So think first. So you see the rat, you go to the store, you buy the poison, sit, think about it. Think about it. Walk around your home, look at maybe, where they're coming in. Call us, I'd be more than happy to go on a Zoom meeting with you and walk around with you and see like, hey, right there is probably where your problem is, or maybe even if you are interested, we can install barn owl habitats. We build screech owl boxes as well to encourage, screech owls and mottled owls around. Um, just call instead of just going to the store and buying stuff. Call someone, call for help, go on the internet, research. There's so much information out there on, the long-term effects of, poison in the environment.
Definitely.
And the things too,
And
just real
sorry,
quick.
what number could people reach out to you on?
Oh, our number is 615-0226. And
Okay,
then, yeah, through WhatsApp is really great. I get pictures every day of, problem areas with rodents, and I really love helping people. And the thing is, another just real quick note, this is not just affecting wildlife. Like this is going to affect us. There was a case in California recently where hunters went out and they were shooting boars, so like our peccary for food.
hmm
The hunter opened the boar, and inside the fat was blue. And he took it to the USDA and he got it tested. And guess what? It was second generation anticoagulants. And
Okay.
this just shows you the biomagnification that's coming, right?
hmm
We have a lot of hunters here. We have a lot of people that do eat game meat. This is eventually going to be in our rivers and the livers of fish, like we're the thing, yeah. I know what's coming. When we start reading as biologists and conservationists, we can see what's coming,
It does
and we
not
just
go
want to
away.
stop it. We want to stop it before it gets that bad. There's a certain tipping point, so we need to end it before it gets to that. So,
Definitely.
but
All right,
yes,
well, thank you so much for those valuable insights, Sarah.
absolutely. Thank you
And
for inviting me.
for everyone watching, we will have that number as well as the contact info for the Belize Raptor Center right in our contact in our comment section. Sorry. And yes, do reach out if you guys have any more questions regarding integrated
Absolutely.
pest management or how you can get your hands on some Evolve.
Sounds
All
great.
right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, sorry. All right. Back again. I hope that was an interesting discussion for you guys. And if you want to know more about Evolve or integrated pest management on a whole, I would strongly urge you to reach out to Belize Raptor Center. And again, if you missed it just now, I'll just read out their number for you very quickly. That will be 615-0226. So if you guys are interested in barn owl boxes or interested in getting your hands on some of this Evolve rat birth control, then yeah, they would be the people to reach out to. And now on into our next section, which will be, of course, a very important part of our lives, our recent intakes and releases. So in terms of, well, first off, in terms of our releases, we have this barn owl that we received a few months ago from Spanish Lookout. As you can see here, it was caught up in a barbed wire fence. And our team had the great pleasure of going back and releasing it in Spanish Lookout this past week. So that was a great bird to get back to the wild. Again, great rat control for these farming communities. And here we have this amazing video of this guy getting back where he belongs. Guy or girl, I'm not sure. We have another bird, although a much smaller one. We got this little hummingbird with a broken wing from Green Hills Butterfly Ranch. Sorry, broken beak, not wing, my mistake. But you can see here that it was patched right up, given a little splint to keep that beak in place, and I believe it was the very next day that it was actually released back to Green Hills Butterfly Ranch where it came from. So, oh, 3 days. My mistake. But it was another great one to get back out into the wild, of course, and shows just what making a call to us and being able to get these animals in quickly can do. And next we have some recent intakes. We have this crocodile who is in a drain down in Independence Village down south. Dr. Marissa Tellez from CRC brought this guy up to us, and upon examination, upon x-ray, we noticed that he had a pretty big fishing hook right in a very critical place. It was actually right around his lungs, so he's still in our treatment. If you guys follow our social media, you will be getting updates on this guy. And yeah, hoping all the best for him. And we have another release. This is a furrowed wood turtle, which was released at Guanacaste National Park alongside the Belize Audubon Society. And while we do recognize that these turtles are terrestrial, this guy was released into the water so that he can branch out and find his preferred habitat in that area. And this was a very lengthy recovery process. I believe about 1.5 years in our care. And it's likely, while we don't know exactly what had happened to this turtle, the likely bet seems to be that it was a road injury and then some animal or other bird might have been trying to get to him from there. Oh, birds first. Burnt. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, he was a fire victim as well. Sorry about that. And then we have one that's been in the news recently, alongside the Belize Zoo and BAHA, or the Belize Agricultural Health Authority. Dr. Isabel and Godwin were able to go up to Blue Creek up north and react to this report of a tapir with screwworm. And since then, it has been confirmed by BAHA that it is screwworm. They did their test and verified that. And it does continue under treatment at this point in time. So you guys can look out for updates on that as well. And I do believe that that's about all of our recent intakes and releases. We did have one more release, but it hasn't made it to our social media yet, so I'll just keep that one a surprise for now. But you guys can look out for that coming up pretty soon here. And yeah, again, thanks to all of our donors and sponsors for making this happen. Everybody on the BWRC team, all of our volunteers, both regular and those that just come in. Again, guys, we are open for internships, so if you or anyone you know is interested, just write us an email and we can look into making that happen. And special thank you to Daniel Cornejo, who is ambassador who recently, last year, graduated from the program. He's a scout and he's here with us volunteering for a month. So big thanks to him as well. And on that note, I think that's our live for January. We'll see you guys again next month.